Decorating Center. Good morning to you on a Wednesday morning, midweek. Here it is already, what is it, the 9th? It is, the 9th of July already. Unreal. Anyway, we say that every day, and every day it's true. We have open phones this hour, and next hour we're going to learn about a softball tournament coming to Saginaw from the folks at Friends of Hoyt Park. And then we'll have more open phones, and then at 11 o'clock this morning, Auburn will be the subject, find out what's happening in that community. It's all coming up this morning on the Art Lewis Show. But for now, open phones 989-752-6111. I want to just start. Do you remember when we were talking about passing recreational marijuana laws and how, it's going to be a financial savior of communities with taxes and everything else, and it's going to be a huge industry? Well, part of it was true. It is a huge industry. As a matter of fact, by volume, Michigan tops California in the world of cannabis sales. Biggest in the country right here. But what's happened is the market has created its own problems. Too many cultivation centers. There is an oversupply of marijuana in Michigan, causing prices to fall, and thus the companies that own all of these facilities are having a difficult time making a profit. And it is now causing some of these companies to reconsider staying open. And one of them, a public traded cannabis company called TerrAscend Corporation, is exiting Michigan. They say the market's extremely difficult. They have 230 employees in Michigan, and they're going to lose their jobs. And they're a Canadian company. They'll continue to operate dispensaries and cultivation processing facilities in other states and in Toronto. But in Michigan, they will be closing by the end of the year. One of their storefronts is Gage Dispensaries. I think there may be one in the Bay Area, but that's it. The rest are in the Detroit area, Warren, that area. And they just say that it's a very difficult market. So, I mean, this great salvation to all our woes may not be as great as we thought it would be. Anyway, well, let's get to our phones this morning. Carl is waiting for us in Saginaw. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Art. Not any one thing. When we had the lottery come in, a lot of people thought, that's going to solve all our problems with schools, all the money it's going to create. Well,
yeah, guess what, though?
We're always looking.
What?
We're always looking for.
Just to go back so we clarify, it was never the intent of the original lottery bill to provide all that money for schools. That was an assumption made. It was an assumption made by voters because of maybe language that was used, but whatever. It never really stated it until more recently when they changed the laws to make sure it happens that way.
A lot of people assumed that.
That's a good word.
Marijuana, was going to, or a casino, casinos in Detroit, we're going to turn things around, that we're going to solve all the problems. That's that kind of thinking. But Art, I actually called about these storms in Texas.
Yep.
I'm sure you've been watching on the news. The devastation there, and this idea that the area that was hardest hit, apparently it's called Flash Flood Alley. Mm-hmm. Yet they didn't have a system, of sirens on the ground, for these areas.
Yeah, in Texas, the state of Texas, as I understand it, just a couple of days before had turned down a request for notification systems.
Yeah. Well, and actually it's almost ironic. In Texas, they have what they call a rainy day fund. You know,
Well, a lot of places
they,
have that.
they yes, I know, but they compliment themselves, so they have all this money set aside for a rainy day. You know, yet they don't want to spend money on, you know, these kind of systems that will protect people. It's just kind of ironic that it's called.
It's sad, unfortunately, and hopefully they learn from it. But for the 161 plus people that have lost their lives so far, it's going to be a little too late.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, you know, and now they're probably going to put in a system, you know, after the fact,
Yeah.
you know, after it's happened.
Well, how often does that happen
But-
in life?
Well, yeah. We're going to close the barn door after the cow gets out. You know,
Yep.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
But I also have been hearing about these weather patterns that because of global warming, the atmosphere is warmer, warm air holds more moisture. So we can expect more storms and more severe storms. And, you know, this is what we're seeing. This is the beginning of, you know, what we're seeing with the hurricanes and the flood damage. I mean, it seems like every week, you know, it's a flood in Tennessee, or it's a flood in West Virginia, or it's a forest fire here, or I just think the weather is just going to keep getting worse.
Well,
And
then
these
I'd
things are-
suggest you contact the Chinese and India and all those other major countries that have not taken it as seriously as we have in the United States. We have done more in this country to mitigate it than anybody, and yet we're taking the blame. What did we do? Let's look at those other countries. Get them on board.
Yes,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but-
Well, that's yes.
but our population, we're something like 7% of the world's population in the United States, but we use something like 20% of the world's energy.
Yeah, that's because
So-
we're an industrial society. We've created a lot of things. We make a lot of things. And that's
Yes.
to be expected. But we've also mitigated substantially our input to global warming. Where's the rest of the world?
Well, that would be nice. Yes, they should, and maybe they will when things get worse. But we better batten down the hatches in the meantime, because
Well,
we can expect these storms to
Maybe.
get worse and more frequent.
maybe, maybe not. We don't know. We'll find out. Nothing we can do about it, is
Yeah.
there? Other than have better warning systems.
Better warn that. Well, yes, that would be one step, I guess,
Well,
and
be a
maybe
big
not.
step.
You know, letting people not building campgrounds right next to rivers.
I don't
or
understand
RV
that because,
RV parks.
yeah, I don't
RV
understand.
park right next to a.
I don't
Yeah,
understand
floodplain.
that because, I mean, it's a flash flood zone. Why in the world would they build a campground right along that river that's prone? You know, listen, it's a flash flood zone. This is nothing new. It's happened before. Maybe not
Exactly.
to the extreme, but it's happened before time and again. And why in the world would you build a camp along that kind of a river? For young girls, I have no idea. None whatsoever.
But we have these, you know, we have these floods like along the Mississippi, and then they rebuild the house right where
Well-
it was before, and they said, you know, we've lived on this land for 200 years. My family, we're going to live here forever, and we're going to rebuild our house.
Yeah, it's
right
like
here,
building a house
right
on the. It's like building a house on the ocean front, putting it on stilts, and then you get banged again, and
Yeah.
you go, "Oh, I don't understand." Well, you subject yourself to Mother Nature, expect the results. So,
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Good enough, Carl.
All right.
Get around. Take care.
Thanks, Art.
Bye now. Russ, hang on. We'll get to you next. I want to talk about Quick Lane in Freeland and my friends at McDonald Ford. They're side by side. They're on the McDonald Ford property. Been a tough year for people with allergies, and if you have any, you know that. And Quick Lane Freeland has an answer. They want to keep you healthy while you're driving. At least keep your car pollen and mold free and all of that. It's a product called FrigiFresh. It's a hospital-grade disinfectant. They put it in your car's air conditioning system. And if you want to know more, listen for a moment here to John from Quick Lane.
FrigiFresh. Hi.
Freeland, get FrigiFresh today. Now, while you're there, you got that 10 minutes while they do the job, take a look at the new Fords at McDonald Ford. They stand ready to put you in the car of your dreams today, and there are lots of great incentives going on right now. Quick Lane and McDonald Ford in Freeland. They stand together to serve all of your automotive needs.
At Crystal Clear Hearing in Sac.
All right, we're back with you here at WSGW, the Art Lewis Show, for this Wednesday morning, and we say good morning to Russ up in Bay City. Russ, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Art. I'm calling about the marijuana problem, and I hope the government stays out of it, because I understand what the big companies want is for the government to crush the small competition, and so they can raise their prices. But if we just let the market take care of itself, these companies that are crying right now, oh, we can't make enough, go somewhere where you can make more money then.
Well, they are.
Don't stay here.
They are. But the fact is,
I hope they do, and that will take care of the over competition.
It won't take care of the. It won't take care of the. It won't take.
For a minute.
It won't take care of the oversupply, which is what's driving it.
It will.
No, it
How
won't.
is it not taking care of the oversupply if you actually have suppliers leaving the area?
You still have too much supply.
Well, not if the big ones leave the area. That's going to
Well,
reduce
it's not
the
going to be
supply
all
by
the.
a bunch.
It's not going to be all the big ones.
Okay. I mean, I just think the market will solve itself. If
Well,
it's
I don't
oversupplied,
misunderstand me, Russ.
companies will fail.
Yeah, don't misunderstand me. I'm a market person, and I don't disagree with you. The market will take care of itself. But in the case of marijuana, there are issues that need to be dealt with. And you don't want government involved. Government's already involved. Government sets the rules.
Yeah, well, and the government will screw it up. I have the full confidence that this is what they do. This is, and then they, well, it's our fault that they screwed up, you know.
Well, no.
But I hope they leave it alone. Stay out of it. Just let the market take care of itself. If it's oversupplied, then companies are going to fail.
Well,
Because they can't make a profit, evidently, at what's going on. And then, okay, let's see who does. Because I know this, if the government gets involved and chases the small ones out and allows just the big, overpriced ones to stay, people will go back to buying black market weed.
Well, it's
They
not
can't
going to
buy the
be. It's not
overexpensive
going to be
stuff.
just the overpriced ones because they're subject to the same competitive competition as the little guy.
Not if they have their competition eliminated by the government.
They can't eliminate all their competition,
They
and the
can
government
eliminate a lot of it
and the
if they want
government
to.
doesn't eliminate any of it. The market
Okay, if they limit
eliminates
the
it.
licenses, they will.
Well, they can't. They have to treat everybody fairly when they apply for a license. Courts have ruled that already.
Okay.
Courts
I
have
mean, do you
ruled
really
it.
believe that?
Yeah, I do.
That a big company with big money that can spread around to the... No, I'm sorry. but
Well,
that's
that's
just
you
not
can.
true.
You're welcome to
It's
your
not
opinion.
treated fairly.
You're welcome to your opinion. I know what the courts
You know.
have said. So
Yeah. Well, like I said, I just hope... And as far as the global warming goes, I just understand... From when I hear Chicken Littles today talking about global warming, I think of Al Gore in 1992 telling us that New York and Florida would be underwater by 2004.
Yep. Yeah, we've been
So there
scared
we
to
are.
death time and time again.
Oh, Oh, no,
And
the sky's falling.
you and I will agree on that, that they have scared us. It was global cooling. It was global warming. Now it's
Yep, so it's
climate change. Covers it all
the
bases.
Climate changes.
Yeah.
It always has. It's called living on a dynamic planet.
Yep.
If you want a dead climate, move
Now,
to Mars.
having
climate's
said
already
that,
dead.
Having said that, it would be disingenuous to not think we've contributed a little bit to a change
I
in
believe
the
that.
atmosphere because of the Industrial Revolution. It'd be
I
foolish to think.
absolutely believe that we've contributed a little bit, but we've also contributed, especially here
Yeah,
in America,
we've mitigated
we
it.
have contributed greatly at our
We've mitigated it.
well, not only have we mitigated, we've gone beyond that. We've really taken good care of our parks and our national forests and our
Yeah.
public lands.
Yep.
We more so, I think, than any other country in the world. I mean, where do you go where you see like Yosemite or the Grand
absolutely.
Canyon or where you know what I mean? Maybe Egypt.
No,
But other
there
than that,
actually are lots of countries that have beautiful scenery, but we take care of ours in a special way. You're absolutely right about that.
and what gets me is I'm seeing more and more, which I'm disgusted by. It's just personal trash.
Well, that's
People throwing McDonald bags out the car window.
absolutely.
And, I mean,
We've always had that
in the
problem,
70s,
and we always
got
will.
Real environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
And don't give a hoot. Don't pollute. And it's like we forgot all that.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you, even with the bottle and can laws that we have, how many bottles and cans end up on my front in my front yard because people don't care.
Yeah.
People don't care, and we
You
can't
know,
do anything about
I
that.
remember when I was in Boy Scouts, my troop, my scoutmaster was very community oriented, and every spring we were in the ditches.
Yeah, clean
This
it up.
was before the dime
Right.
law, and picking up cans and bottles out of the ditches.
All right, Russ, I got to run. Appreciate
Have a
it.
good one.
Have a good one. Bye-bye now. And let's go to Midland, and we'll talk to Laura this morning. Laura, good morning.
Good morning, Art.
Morning.
I want to talk about something about your radio station.
Okay.
I love your show. I love the Morning Team show. I listen pretty much every morning.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to tell you that the volume of the commercials is significantly higher than the programming. And I always turn it down during the commercials on my Alexa. And then when I hear you talking again, I turn it up. So if it was the same volume for commercials and the shows, I would actually listen to the commercials.
Well,
But I don't hear
here's
anything.
yeah. Here's the thing, and it's tough to understand, but it's true. There is a perception between the conversation, that is me talking, you talking, and a produced commercial. Because the reality is the audio leaving the radio station is controlled by limiters and fed to the transmitter at an even level. When you hear it at home, I understand. I'm not disagreeing with you. It sounds louder. But it's the way the brain perceives a produced message with music and all that other stuff versus you and me conversing. And it's something that it's been around forever. Nobody's ever found an answer for it. But I can assure you that technically, and that's all I'm talking about now, is technically, if you were to measure it, the levels are the same.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a perception, and I understand that. And I understand exactly what you're saying. I've heard the same thing.
Okay. Well, I know because I use music and digitalize music. You can, like in iTunes,
Yeah.
there are stabilizers now available in iTunes. I would have to believe that with the new technology, the radio station could also do that.
We've been doing it long before iTunes did.
Well,
Long before.
Yeah.
Transmitters, and there's actually laws, too, about the modulation of audio. You have to, believe me, radio stations, broadcast facilities, television stations have been technically doing it for decades and decades. They you know, the iTunes come along, they have a product, they call it stabilizers, it's fine. We have limiters, we have compressors, we have all kinds of technical devices on our audio to make sure that we stay within certain parameters. We have to. We have to.
Well, I wish that somebody would come over and measure the decibels right here where I sit. But, I have a solution. I just turn it down and I don't hear anything
and
from the commercials. And that's not good for your radio station or for your advertisers.
No, but you do what you have to do. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. We understand that. We understand that. But I understand what you're saying. I mean, and I have to tell you, in the studio, I don't hear it because I'm listening to a different set of audio than you are, and I'm going to be very honest. I rarely hear the commercials because once I start that stop set, I'm off doing something else and I'm not paying attention to them. So
yeah, well, lucky you.
Well, we have to have them. That's how we stay in business. It's part of the.
Yeah, no. I completely understand that. It's just.
Yeah, well, I understand your position too, and I don't have. Let's put it this way: I understand it, but I don't have an answer. So.
Yeah, well, I really think that in this day and age, something could be done.
All right.
I can't believe that nothing can be done about this.
I will take that under advisement and pass it on.
Thank you. That's what I wanted.
All right, Laura, thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.
You too. Bye.
All right, time to play some of those loud commercials, and then we'll be back. Laura, turn your volume down.
Wednesday, August 13th at
Back with you here on WSGW. Phone lines are open, 989-752-6111. Whatever you'd like to chat about, give us a call, and we'll get the conversation going. That's what it's all about. We love doing it. What a concept. Ford Motor Company looking to increase sales of electric vehicles, hybrids, and their other models. The Ford CEO, Jim Farley, did such an unusual thing. He listened to his dealers and said, what do you need? I mean, let's face it, the dealers are the front line between you and me and Ford or any other major automotive company. They know best what their customers need and how to serve them. So Farley listened and credits them with Ford's increased performance, particularly strong electric and hybrid vehicle sales in the first half of 2025. What a concept. Listen to the people who are on the front lines. Boy, that is so true in so many industries. So many industries that deal with retail and have to deal with people. You would think that there'd be more of that. And I've said all along, as far as me personally, if I were in the market for an automobile right now, I would not look at an all-electric vehicle, but I would look at a hybrid. Definitely would look at a hybrid. And I just think that's the I think that's the future. Now, that's just my opinion, and I'm certainly not telling anybody else to do it. But I believe that the hybrid is the wave of the future. So, I don't know. Just time will tell. Time will tell. I just like the idea of having electric opportunity around town. But if I want to go for a couple of 100-mile drive, I don't have to worry about charging stations because the engine will take care of the rest. To me, that is the perfect answer. It always has been. And the other issue right now is the cost of vehicles. They are going up. And no end in sight. And as a consequence, people are taking out bigger and longer loans where payments are encroaching on $1,000 a month or more for a car. You bought a house for that years ago. So it's different times. Companies like Ford are going to have to find ways to attract buyers into their automobiles at a reasonable price point, whatever that is. And I say that sort of tongue-in-cheek because I don't know what that reasonable price point is. But whatever it is, we need to find out how to get there. And this nonsense about $1,000 car payments and 8-year contracts. It's just, I don't know, it's silly, it seems to me. But that's me. If you need a vehicle, you need a vehicle. You're willing to pay for it. There it is. Line's open. We'll be back.
I want to learn how to cook.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW, the Art Lewis Show. Supreme Court has once again struck down some of the lower court impediments to Trump's actions. This time it has to do with large-scale staff cuts that he wanted to do. Supreme Court has lifted a federal judge's order pausing the Trump administration's large-scale staffing cuts and agency restructuring. And this allows the president now to downsize and reshape the federal government. It will be one of the largest changes in the executive branch in history. And it only affects the executive branch, those, cabinet-level positions and those departments under the executive. Does not affect anything that Congress mandates. The justices said they are not ruling on the legality of a specific reorganization plan, just the president's ability to do it. They said the district judge was wrong to stop the administration from moving ahead with changes to agencies. This goes in line with what they've said about universal injunctions that cover the nation when you're a local judge. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson dissented, calling it the wrong decision at the wrong moment, especially given what the court knows about what's actually happening on the ground. Justice Sonia Sotomayor said that while she agrees with Jackson that any changes must comply with previous congressional directives, Trump's executive order instructed agencies to follow the law. The plans themselves are not before the court at this stage, and thus we have occasion to consider whether they can and will be carried out consistent with the constraints of law. So, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes and how many mass layoffs there'll be. One department is scaling back its layoffs. That's the Veterans Affairs Department. The DOGE-led plan under Musk was for over 76,000.